Another day in the NBA here, and the work begins as it always does here on the Splash Play channel. We're going to dig in and compare my projections to one of the industry leaders out there, our friends over at Stokastic. We'll see what their data thinks, who are the top plays, who are the top value plays. Well, my data thinks we'll meet somewhere in the middle. Of course, we're going to check ownership along the way. We'll go game by game, taking a look at that. We'll hop over to Stokastic data, see what a sim looks like without my interference. And by this video, you'll know all the must plays for the NBA today, November 20th. Let's get into it. Yesterday, we all got Will Richarded. Yes, it was really one of the worst plays of the slate. And before I get into that too, I real fast gonna know the guy's gonna watch the video as well. You might remember the dude in the chat who was being a troll yesterday, or being really more annoying to me about AJ Mitchell. The guy had the audacity to come back, pop to the comments, claim that he wanted to victory lap the fact that AJ Mitchell got just shy of 30 fantasy points. My projection for AJ Mitchell yesterday, which you saw on stream, 34 and change fantasy points. This guy, AJ Mitchell, 0 for 3 from 3. 1 3-pointer difference, and this fucking cocksucker, and I'm gonna say that word here in the first minute of the video. I'm gonna lose monetization on YouTube for it. That fucking cocksucker has to come into the chat because AJ Mitchell didn't hit my projection. If you're going to be that person, guys, just to warn you guys in advance, I am going to just kick you off the channel. I'm just going to mute you. You can still watch every video. I'm sure that guy will do so. But it's really one of those things here where, like, projections, crazy shit happens every day on NBA slates. A 45% owned Will Richard put up 3 fantasy points yesterday because he got benched in the fucking game for not grabbing a rebound. It's the world of gambling, guys. And you got to find your joy somewhere in there. And for you guys out there that find joy from leaving annoying comments and being trolls, it's just not gonna be the channel for you. So just right away, know that coming in here. We do the best work we can every day. And sometimes AJ Mitchell, guys, he's gonna miss that 3-pointer. He's not gonna hit my projection. It's okay. We all live. We all survive. We got some guys here. We got Luis. What's up, Spags? Some DFS love in the air. Let's take the big one. Yes, let's do that. Love that Rollins exposure. Yeah, I have Rollins highly projected again, guys. So when he doesn't hit a 3-pointer, please don't leave me a chat tomorrow. Tell him his boss, do it after trolls. I mean, look, it is what it is, guys. Like, ultimately, as I always say here, I'm just showing you guys my process. Please do whatever you want with it. If you're one of those people that gets like really OCD and weird about stuff, just don't watch this channel. Like, I don't really need it. Like, I want viewers always. And as we're growing here, I have to make more peace with, like, not everybody's going to be the exact person I'm cultivating and want to necessarily have watching every video. But, like, ultimately, I can't be more threadbare about what I'm showing. If you're going to be a cunt about it, I don't care. I go, bye-bye, and then I move on. That's how it goes. But fuck that guy, though. And that's the way it ends here. We got James Harden on the thumbnail today. Really, I will also go full screen for this. Awful NBA headshot this year for James Harden, where he looks like he did not sleep, and not in like a fun James Harden way. He looks tired. He looks dry. He looks like he needs moisturizer. It's a bad photo of James Harden if you want to search it out for yourself. James Harden today, no Kawhi Leonard. Guy's been producing pretty well historically without Kawhi. Overall, the rates look like about a 36% usage rate, 40% or so assist rate without Kawhi out there. And he's been about a 40% assist rate all year long. So James Harden facing an Orlando team, not quite the scary defensive Orlando team that we've seen in the past, but still one that I think is decent enough with giving up only 113 points per 100 possessions. Definitely towards the better part of the league, even if they're not quite Oklahoma City or any team like that. For James Harden, got about a 50-point projection. Stokastic has him at 49. The big thing today is that you got 33% ownership for him. That's a good amount, 1/3 of the field on today's 4-gamer. Going to be playing James Harden. I think he looks okay here, but certainly for Harden, not a must-have play at a 10K salary, but he is your only player on the slate who projects for over 50 fantasy points for me. And for Stokastic, about as close as you can get as well at 49 fantasy points. But it's one of those slates, again, guys, where you don't have anybody over 50. We don't have any star players. You got Giannis out today. We're going to have a Jokic who's going to take up a ton of ownership, or a theoretical projection at the very least. For Harden, he is your top play on the slate, and he and Tyrese Maxey, I mean, your two guys that are above 10K. But for Maxey, you have Embiid, Paul George back in. For Harden, you have a depressed Clippers rotation right now, and a team that also needs to start winning some games. I believe they're like 4-10 or something like that. So for James Harden right now, projects well enough, but certainly the ownership being at 1/3 of the field, that feels about right for him. And shout out to the chats, the real ones. Appreciate your work and your humor, Spags. You're the man. Thank you for that. And mash that like button. Yes, listen to Papa here. I appreciate it a bunch. Long night for Harden. Say it ain't so. Yeah, he's probably hanging out in Disney, doing all sorts of weird shit. Sounding good at the strategy show today. Thank you for that. I did 2 NFL videos this morning on the Splash Play Pod channel and on the Stokastic show with Lafayette. So check those out if you want to get my football takes in today and yell at me about those. I don't want to hear it, but if you want to, you can. Jalen Johnson. Got Porzingis in the data set right now, but we do have a Q tag on him. There's another Q tag, right, for Atlanta as well. Hold up. Yeah, Reza Shea, the other Q tag. No, I was forgetting somebody. Right now, Jalen Johnson looks pretty good. 47.9 projection for me, 48.2 for Stokastic. The same thing, though, as the last time we had Atlanta on the slate. Porzingis ended up getting ruled out. That made Jalen Johnson come up a lot more for me. Right now, with Jalen Johnson at 9,800, playable, I think, but will look a lot more playable if you get Porzingis out. And if you get Porzingis and Reza Shea out, all the better. But Jalen Johnson right now playing legitimate point forward in a way that a lot of NBA players, they talk about the concept of a point forward. It's a lot, usually guys that are not actually creating offense at that high of a rate. But Jalen Johnson, court time without Trae Young this year, 32% assist rate for him on the year, including the court time. With Trae Young, a 31% assist rate. He's been playing incredibly well, averaging 1.35 fantasy points per minute. But with Atlanta, if you have Porzingis in, it does kill that upside a little bit more. With Porzingis playing his usual, 26 or so minutes. I think if you get Porzingis out, Jalen Johnson will be your best pay up option on the slate. As it is, I'm a little bit under on Harden, a little bit under on Jalen Johnson. But both guys, I think, look like solid plays, not must-have plays. Tyrese Maxey, 10-3 salary. He's hit with Embiid and Paul George in, so certainly if you want to go that way, I wouldn't begrudge it. But Tyrese Maxey, at this point, you are paying a price tag that does reflect the half the games he plays without Paul George, without, in particular, Embiid. Embiid on the year, averaging 1.5 fantasy points a minute. Paul George averaging 1.2. But neither guy is really going to be playable because we're both going to be playing like 20 to 25 minutes. So Maxey will be super productive when they're not out there. When they are out there, he's going to lose some of the usage, lose some of the assist upside that he's had, which has really been a big part of how he's playing so far this year and the 1.32 fantasy points a minute that he's putting up. As for Maxey, I think still a tournament option at 9% owned out of these highly projected guys. He's the only one that is single-digit owned, so that's the upside. Same thing that happens a lot with him, Donovan Mitchell. These guys, I think, tend to project a little bit lower than they end up hitting in terms of their ceiling outcomes. But whenever you have a short slate and a top projected player under 10% owned, certainly can make the case to go for them, even though Maxey only have 4.6x value on paper, and I'm only getting half of that. Is Embiid for sure in? Check the injury report here. The injury report's not been submitted because they're on a back-to-back. The assumption, though, is that Embiid and Paul George both did not play yesterday in order to play today. So not for sure, but the assumption is that he will be in, and he is in the data set. Ryan Rollins. So you got no Giannis today. And what that means is not the same thing as what it used to mean for Milwaukee. I would pull up NBA Wowie, but NBA Wowie, I realized, is fucked up. The Add More Funds version. So if you've been using this like I have for years to get your data, they actually give, let me see if it'll come up. They give this alert here on NBA Wowie. We're aware of missing information from recent games. We're going to update our tools. Basically, you currently cannot use NBA Wowie to pull up rates for guys with various teammates off. So that's one thing I'll say out loud right now. I will update you guys when I'm back to using that tool. But basically, that's a big part of how I adjust for rates for when, Philadelphia, I wouldn't take anything off of Tyrese Maxey. But let's say Embiid and Paul George were out, I might grab the rates for the entire Sixers team when those guys don't play and then kind of massage them as I need to. That's now a thing I have to do manually using a different tool. Fantasy Labs is another on-off tool. There's a play-by-play stats site as well that has one. It's a little bit of a pain in the ass, to be totally real about it. Point being, for Ryan Rollins, for this year, without Giannis on the court, he has put up a 29.5% and change usage rate, 36% assist rate. He's gaining the most out of all the Bucks this year with Giannis off the court. If you go back to last year, Rollins gains a good amount in usage, is like 26% usage. I think a 25 to 30% assist rate. It's a little bit lower, but still really good. The point is that, again, for the people out there that really want to be hyper-focused and critical, this is a high projection on Rollins. I have him 7 fantasy points higher. The reason, though, that I do things like this is try to isolate things that Stokastic's data won't. So I want to get more Ryan Rollins for myself on a slate. I take the projection here that still backs out, with the sample size of data, but is not exactly, the biggest yet. Like, we haven't played 1,000 possessions this year without Giannis for the Bucks. So for Ryan Rollins, I just want to explain that as thoroughly as I can, because you see a projection like this and you guys might go, let me lock Ryan Rollins. I don't think he's a lock play, but I do think the 36.6 projection for him at 7,500, you're not going to get as much as you should, given the fact he's been like a killer producer this year when Giannis is gone. And it all kind of makes sense, too, because Rollins has like a real lead point guard role. On the year, he's averaging 23% usage, a 25% assist rate, which is a lot of possessions for a guy to take away from Giannis, just given what we historically know of him. He's not quite Damian Lillard in terms of getting that amount of shots up. I would say not even a Chris Middleton, but he's about as close to that as we've had, on the Bucks for guys taking usage away, taking assists away from Giannis. So I expect everything to roll through him. Certainly, if Ryan Rollins fails today, could mean that Cole Anthony got going or something, or just maybe more scoring in that first unit. For Kyle Kuzma, Miles Turner, guys like that. I guess theoretically AJ Green, Gary Trent, if he somehow starts. But for Ryan Rollins, I think he's the big winner of Giannis being out. I've got an 81% right now, which is a lot. Fields at 28. You want to be more responsible with it. Play 33%. Play half your lineups with Ryan Rollins, but I do think Rollins strong play today. Chow Chase, I don't know how you do with NFL and NBA. I don't know how I do it either, but I have a process to get everything done that we need to. And sometimes it's a little bit stressful. Days like tomorrow where I go back to back to back for stuff, a little bit tougher, but I appreciate you recognizing it. Ultimately, it's still fun, right? We're just doing gambling here. So that's what I try to tell myself. Franz Wagner, 26% ownership for me right now. In my top 150, Fields at 20. Franz does not stand out in a meaningful way to me at this point. Bane also, I am under on, as we'll see a little bit when we go game by game. Nobody in Orlando looks fantastic amongst the pay-up options to me, and certainly Bane putting up the near 50 fantasy points last time out. I would get chasing that. That said, he did rebound a little bit more than I think you'd expect, did assist a little bit more than you'd expect, and he had 5 steals in that game, which Bane has not been doing very much of this year. A really defensively inaggressive overall, only a 1% steal rate, which is lower than Franz, lower than Suggs, lower than Wendell Carter, lower than De Silva. He got lucky last game out is what I'll say for Bane. Did score over 20 points, though. Did add some rebounds and assists. But for Franz, I think he's getting eaten away at a little bit by Bane. For Bane, I think he's getting eaten away a little bit by Franz. I think these guys are both suffering a little bit because Suggs takes work away. Anthony Black takes work away. Wendell Carter also gets his usage and assists upside up when you take Banchero off. You can play into these guys, and the field will play Wagner here at 20%. I'm happy to get a little bit above. But I think for the Magic right now, to tie it into the NFL, it's kind of like the Bills pass catchers where you have a bunch of guys that can spike. You have one guy like Shakir you expect to be the best. That's how I feel about Franz Wagner. He's the Khalil Shakir of the Magic right now, where I think he's the best of this group, but he doesn't project super well at 8,800. The price tag is pretty aggressive. He has a ceiling for sure, so I'm not trying to be under here, but I do think that he's not like a super compelling play. Like Rollins, I think, as you can see here, very compelling play based on the situation he has with no Giannis. For Orlando with no Banchero, you have a bunch of guys gaining a little bit, but it used to be a thing where if Banchero were out, Franz is like a lock. It's not the case now with Bannon. Domantas Sabonis should be playing today, theoretically. 17% ownership for the field. I'm getting him at 12. Sacramento, not a team I like very much. At this point, Sacramento, you're getting Keegan Murray in as well. It really doesn't make me super excited to play anybody whenever we're adding in a regular rotational piece to a team that's priced to not have that guy. It's never really a good spot. So for Sabonis here, 17% for the field. I'm under 8,600. Not a bad price tag for him, but really don't think the projection's making him jump out in any meaningful way. De'Aaron Fox, massive bust as chalk the other day. They priced him up a bunch because he was owned by about 60% of the field on that slate. $9,300 salary. The rates do not justify that based on how he's played either this year or going back to last year without Wemby and without Stephon Castle. For the Spurs, it seems to me like Keldon Johnson, and even just including the sample size this year where we have a team that's a little bit different. Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, they both gain usage, both gain rebounds from having Wemby along with Castle off the court. Fox gains a little bit in usage, a little bit in assist rate, still really can't get him there at 9,300. He does have, tournament winning upside, 11% ownership, kind of same thing as Tyrese Maxey. Like the price tag's aggressive for what the situation is. But I think for Fox, he certainly can hit a ceiling for sure. But you're paying really a salary that reflects what he was last time out, where he was too cheap for the situation. The field played him in droves. Now he busted in that spot. If you go back to it and get it right, you'll be much more alone with De'Aaron Fox than you would be otherwise. But I don't think he's a particularly good play. As only a 4.4x value for me. And I, couldn't juice the rates up anymore, I felt like. But if you get him to 43 fantasy points, he still won't come up a lot. Vika Zubac, one of your other big winners for Kawhi Leonard being out here. Again, facing a Magic team where he should be able to be in position to get some rebounds, get some blocks, theoretically, things like that. Zubac 7,400. It's a good price tag. Getting it as a 5.4x value, even with my projection being about 0.6 lower than Stokastic. Fields at 34, though. I'm getting a little bit more than that. I think Zubac, playable with Harden, probably looks a little bit better in lineups without Harden, because if Zubac hits his true ceiling, let's say he puts up a 20 and 20, he probably did hurt Harden a little bit. And Harden's price tag is so high that if Harden gets hurt at all by anybody kind of having outlier success on the Clippers, I think that makes him a less good play. For Zubac, though, 7,400, it's just a good price tag for a guy who's been producing 1.1 fantasy points minute on the year, and now you have Kawhi out. And a team, too, where, like, Collins isn't really taking a lot of usage away. Chris Dunn's not really doing anything. Like, nobody else is doing anything on the team besides Zubac and Harden, and to a lesser extent, Bogdanovic. So Zubac is 7,400. Good play. Not a smash. Put him in every lineup kind of play. Russell Westbrook, I'm getting almost 2x the field here. Not a fun play for me, but Stokastic still giving him 31 minutes based upon what they think the rotations will look like with Keegan Murray coming back in. But, Murray feels like he should impact Westbrook a little bit. Less usage to go around. Westbrook at 7,900. Seemingly priced for a spot where Sabonis might not be playing. Keegan Murray hasn't played at all this year. I think that same situation's kind of baked in here. But I do have Westbrook accounting for how he's played this year. Projected a little bit higher than Stokastic. Don't think he'll be a play that comes up a lot for me, but am getting 13%, Fields at 7. Jalen Suggs is like the best Magic player today to me. We talked about Franz Wagner. I've talked about how Bane's not coming up for me. Suggs, though, 35 fantasy point projection for me at 6K. Stokastic is lower at 32, so if you want to meet in the middle there, you'll get a little bit less Suggs than I do, but still get more. But Suggs, 39% for the field. I'm getting him at 59. He's been a good assist guy on the year with a 32% assist rate. The sample size as well with Banchero off looks pretty similar. Should gain some usage as well. He's been at 23%. I've got him at 24.5 today with Banchero out. Suggs has not paid off super well lately with really multiple slates, but the assist upside is there. If he gets some steals as well, that'll make the picture look better. On a short slate, a guy like Suggs, going to be decently owned, but I've got 20% more. And Cedric Coward. So Memphis, you got no John Morant today and no Jaren Jackson. Coward seems to be the biggest winner of the small sample size for this season for Memphis. He's put up about a 25% usage rate, a 15% rebound rate, I think is where we're at. Yeah, 15% rebound rate, 27, actually a little bit higher than that. I've got it at a 27.5% assist rate. Coward, I don't think he actually gets you a triple-double, but I think he can get you, like, good cross-category production right now. But I think for how it looks for Coward right now, the field seemingly not going to play him as much, only 19% ownership. There is going to be crazy ownership coming. When we sort by value, you'll see it. For Santi Aldama and for Vince Williams on this team. But Coward seemingly gains the most, I think, across the board. Like, does become a legit usage guy as opposed to somebody that's mostly kind of taking a few shots here and there normally in the rotation. Gains some assist upside. He does a little bit of everything. And he's also a guy, an older player coming out of college. Can, I think, fill in kind of pretty well in the situation for Memphis. The total for Memphis as well, one of the highest on the slate at 119 implied points. Actually, I think is the highest of all the teams. Yeah, Memphis highest total on the slate because they're facing Sacramento. And so that's without their 2 stars. So Memphis, hard team to fade today, but I think Coward looks under-owned when you're going to get endless amounts of Santi Aldama and Vince Williams. And I get that as well. Let's sort by value here. Take the next view of things. Again, guys, if you get any value to this video, even if you're only going to look at things and critique it and make different plays, that's cool too. Just make sure to hit that like button and subscribe here. Of course, I do this work every Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. on the channel. I build my own data. I use Stokastic stuff, in particular for minutes, to keep myself honest. But ultimately for you guys out there, this is just showing you the work that I'm playing for myself in a given slate. You have Stokastic data to check what the market looks like, what a top site that's winning people a lot of money every day across a bunch of sports is doing. That's what the process looks like here. So show some love, hit that like button and subscribe. Help me keep fighting that YouTube algorithm that can be a fickle bitch. And of course, check out Stokastic too, 15% off, promo code SPLASH, link in the description there. It's the only deal they have going right now. I'm sure they'll have some for NFL for Thanksgiving. But right now, if you want to get their NBA data, which has been great for a lot of people, the sim stuff, even if you're going to use my projections, use their sim product with it. It's a good way to do things. But check it out. Links down below, 15% off, or use the promo code SPLASH when you go sign up at Stokastic. Got Bogdanovic looking like a top value for me. I have about 4 fantasy points higher than Stokastic. They've got him really low at 27.8 minutes, only a 21.9 projection. But he has been one of the better Clippers producers overall when you take the various guys off the court. I've got him today at a 23% usage rate, which does reflect the court time without Kawhi. 21.5% assist rate. I think the fact it's not a back-to-back can help his minutes as well. with Bogdan Bogdanovic last game for the Clippers on the back half of a back-to-back where he played a ton of minutes the night before. Hopefully here he could get closer to the minutes upside that they're giving him at the very least. But I think Bogdanovic as a value play, point guard, shooting guard, looks like a strong value to me. I'm getting him more than 2x the field. 54% of my lineups have him. Fields at 21. Vince Williams Jr. I'm getting him less than the field right now. I have been a Vince Williams fan in these last couple slates. As you guys might recall, I thought the forward spots looked bad last time out. I played Vince Williams there. He ended up playing pretty well. He is basically your point guard for the team right now, so that's a positive for him. Definitely not a traditional point guard in as much as like every possession's not flowing through his hands. He in fact will bring the ball up. Other guys initiate offense pretty often. Vince Williams gets points, gets rebounds, gets assists. Memphis is playing an absolute dog shit team in Sacramento, one of the worst defenses in basketball. And it is also a really high-paced team as well. So one of the rare spots where Memphis is, I think, technically getting paced up by about 0.3 of a possession. So for Vince Williams, a good play here. Coward, a good play here. Aldama, a good play here. These are the Memphis Grizzlies I feel the best about. You'll have ownership for Edey. You'll have ownership for Cam Spencer. Have ownership for Jalen Wells. These are your pivots off of the much higher projected but higher owned plays, including Vince Williams Jr. Ryan Rollins, we talked about. Suggs, we talked about. Aldama getting the big minutes now because not having Jaren Jackson out there really should be guaranteed a good amount of run. Aldama gets a little bit of an uptick in usage because of not having Jackson and Morant out there. I've got him at 23.5% usage today. He also assists more than I would have thought, a 25% assist rate. Actually, might be a little bit higher than that, but I think I tried to get him to something more reasonable in the rates overall. But Aldama, 33.9 projection for me, 33.3 for Stokastic. Another guy here that projects well, 72% expected owned by Stokastic today. I've got him at 67, and he looks like a key play. And certainly if I were putting in one lineup today, I think Vince Williams, Santi Aldama, they would be one of the first guys in. Obviously, if you want to fade them because of the ownership, I would get that as well. But like these are the two of the best plays in the slate relative to salary and the fact that Memphis is playing an awful team without their two leading shooters, everything guys, with John Morant and Jaren Jackson. So that's what it is. I don't think Black will continue with minutes with Suggs. I mean, I hope so, but at this point, I think Black not a must-have value. He definitely looks a lot better when you get Suggs out. But you know, I've got Suggs highly projected. I think if Suggs fails, there's a shot that Black either took a few minutes away or produced better in whatever amount of time. So I don't mind Black, but he doesn't come up as meaningfully for me here. I mean, he's not on a value screen, obviously. Wendell Carter, guy who looked good for last time out for the Magic, going back to him again here at 5,400. Wendell Carter gains really as much as anybody on the Magic because he's a guy that's not really involved when Banchero's in. When Banchero's out, he at least puts up respectable rates, including about a 19% usage rate, 13% assist rate, rebounds a little bit more. For Wendell Carter, who's a guy that is out there kind of not doing a lot when Banchero is playing, gaining a little bit in every category is enough to make him playable. We saw the big upside last time for Golden State, so he doesn't feel sneaky at this point. Last time I had a ton of him. That helped out a lot on the last slate he played. Fields at 27% now. I'm getting 40. Not a bad play here, but certainly a guy that I think gets chased a little bit with him going nuts last game. Same thing for Bane. Kelly Olynyk, 17%. Fields at 26. For Olynyk, I think he is a decent play overall. Looked better last time out under 4K. Luke Cornett didn't do a whole lot as a starter. Olynyk is creating a ton of offense, has almost a 40% assist rate on the year. The minutes aren't great. Like, he's probably not going to play more than 20. And I think you have better values on the slate. Like, I like Bogdanovic. But I think Olynyk at 4K, playable. Yeah, that's really it. He's playable. I got him at 26%, Fields at 17. But, you know, he kind of hit last time out at a cheaper price tag. Playing Cornett and hoping he just plays a little bit better as a starter might be a good move to get some theoretical leverage. But Olynyk's not very chalky, so I don't think you need to. Cedric Coward, we talked about, should be able to produce in every category a little bit more, though my projection is 4 fantasy points higher than Stokastic. So if you want to split the middle, play him at a 32-point projection. That'll give you more, but not quite as much as I'm getting here, with a 47% exposure in the field at 19. Harrison Barnes gains as well. The Spurs at this point, just everybody gains some usage, gains some rebound, and gains some assists from Wemby and Castle and Harper not being in. Barnes, not a guy I'm very excited to get, but I am getting him at 25% in the field to 10. Ivica Zubac, we talked about. Keldon Johnson, he and Vassell are the guys that I had the most of last time out. Neither really hit the upside, but they did get shots up, did produce a little bit more, did get more minutes. So same thing here again today with their price tags not being crazy. Keldon Johnson at 5,400, I think in particular gains with the rebounding he should have from just not having Wemby out there. I will go game by game view here now, guys. And again, one more ask. Please subscribe, hit the like button. Of course, doing this work every day at 2 p.m., so show some love if you can. And all the data here from Stokastic will get updated as the day goes on, so if you want to see those updates, go join them down below. Promo code SPLASH or the link in the description will take you over there and get you 15% off over at Stokastic. All the cheap stuff, all the expensive stuff, data, sims, whatever you want, 15% off. Clippers, 106.5 implied. Orlando, 112 implied here. Harden, I'm under the field on. Zubac, I'm a little bit above. But both these guys being about a third of lineups, really no issue with that. Don't think I want to get much more, but Harden is your top projected guy in the slate. So certainly if you wanted to play him in half the lineups, I don't think that'd be a crazy thing to do. Wouldn't lock him though. You still want to take the upside shots on whoever's going to get a ceiling on the slate. Value, hard to replicate sometimes. Ceilings, easier to find, like just roll the dice here around the value guys. I think you want to play some Harden. I would think if you're playing 150, you want to play some Maxey. You want to play whatever you can get. But Harden is your best projected pay up option, I guess the best way to say that. Bogdanovich, I like a lot as a value. Nothing else really coming up for me. John Collins is barely producing this year. I goosed his usage a little bit for the court time without Kawhi. He still only gets like about a 24% usage rate and change. I think for John Collins, there is theoretically more upside here. He's still shooting well enough, but he just he's not producing like the guy we got in Utah the last couple of years, in particular last year, where he was somebody I was really advocating for in a lot of slates, and he paid off very frequently, in particular when the centers were out. This year, it's probably having Zubac out there is hurting Collins the most, and the fact that like you have high usage for Harden, Zubac still gets up his amount of shots as well. That probably is it. But I think if Zubac were ever out, I would play Collins on that slate. Right now, I still think Collins is there at 5,300. Chris Dunn, not really projecting well, but he'll be out there. Kobe Sanders, same thing. Orlando, really low on Bane here. Fields at 15%. I'm at 5. Bane hitting that upside last time out, I think makes him get a little bit higher owned than Stokastic is projecting right here. But Bane really not getting a lot of usage when Banchero's off the court. The rates don't jump at all. I still goosed them a little bit just to try to get Bane closer to playable. And I got him at 5%, so that's probably my stand here. But really, Franz, this year not gaining quite as much, but historically gets the usage up, gets his assist rate above 30. Suggs gains usage, keeps assisting at the same clip. Wendell Carter gains usage and assist. Bane is not showing that in the underlying data. He had the good game last time out, so I don't want to totally poo-poo it. But I don't think that Bane at this point is a guy that I want to like force my way to with the price tag up. Too many usage hogs to make Collins effective. That's probably fair. Collins' total lack of involvement in the offense has been super annoying to watch. Yeah, he really, Clipper Nation, I'm sure, knows it better than most. But yeah, he's just standing around out there, which, he did at Utah, but then he would still like be a part of some DHO stuff. He would still pick and pop, like he did shit. From what I've seen in the Clippers, that's not been the case. And beat out. Okay. That's surprising to me. We'll get there when we get there, but I think Drummond will definitely be playable again, and I'm sure the field will love to play him. He did not play super well yesterday, but I think still made the winning lineup. So we'll see what we get there. Surprised Embiid's out, though. Not a good sign for that knee recovery that he's going to be out here. Sacramento, 116.5 implied. Memphis, 119. I really don't like Sacramento, to be honest. Memphis, I think the biggest case you can make for Sacramento, Memphis is a little bit worse than league average defense with Jaren Jackson in. Now they're taking him out. That's how that goes. The pace, too, should be high on both sides here. Sacramento, I have at a 102.3 pace. Memphis at 102. So that's high-paced teams here going head-to-head. Yeah, I don't know. I don't hate the tournament ownership for Sabonis and Westbrook. Just think having Keegan Murray in, like, it's not usually a spot where you play the guys. Like, if this were like a big slate, I don't think you'd want to play Sacramento. On a short slate, given the matchup, the fact it's a depleted Memphis team, the total's here, I could see playing Sabonis. Fields at 17. I really don't want to play Westbrook, but the matchup does feel Westbrooky. 7% ownership for the field, I could see that. DeRozan and Levine, they're going to play the minutes, but the projections are awful here. Oh, Sabonis out too? Well, fuck. Okay. Well, Westbrook's going to look a lot better. Westbrook's definitely going to come up for me then. This is too many injuries happening on the show. I don't I don't enjoy this occurring here. They're real fast. Is there anybody else going to pop up now? Or Keegan Murray not on the injury report, so he's going to play. Embiid out. Sabonis out. All right. Well, so don't play Sabonis. It's like I was saying. But yeah, Sabonis being out, I mean, I guess we go to Sacramento real fast on Popcorn Machine. Because I know the minutes have been a little bit jankier for Eubanks. Glad we're getting the news early, but it does, for the sake of the show, not my ideal. Yeah, Eubanks still starting, minutes down to 22.6. Every minute that he's not playing, you are mostly getting Raynaud. But you also got some Achua to close it out. Yeah, Eubanks you can't trust at this point. Achua seems more trustworthy. If Eubanks got hot, he wouldn't lose as many minutes, I would think. Like if he just played particularly well. Was he in foul trouble here? Yeah, no fouls. Honestly, that's a pretty good first stint. With 4 points, 2 peripherals. He went 2 for 4. I mean, Eubanks would have to probably play. He'd probably have to play really well to earn all the minutes, that like a starter gets. But I would think Eubanks borderline playable. Achua more playable at 4K. Not producing super well in the year. And Westbrook, I think, is the one that probably gains the most because he can now kind of crash the rim unapologetically against a team where he can get around Zach Edey. So I think for Sacramento, everybody's going to look better here. Center's probably not must-have plays. Westbrook will come up and be, I think, a rotational piece for me in lineups. Memphis. Levine, I think somebody misread a starting lineup or something and thought he was coming off the bench, and then he wasn't, was what happened last game. Because he started that game. But yeah, they thought initially he wasn't going to start, and then he did. So I don't know what the deal was. Memphis on their side, talked about Cedric Coward enough. Aldama, Vince Williams are all super chalky. They all look pretty good here. This is one of those spots too where, number one, these guys aren't Will Richard, who is a rookie who kind of got lost in the sauce. I will say too, just to kind of put a bow as best I can on Will Richard. My guess on him failing yesterday is because he's hit a lot of corner threes. He's actually shot really well from 3 on the year, but mostly from the corner. I think when you take Steph away, you take Butler away, you take Draymond away, you take Kuminga away, you take the functional offense away. Will Richard couldn't create his own shot, and the other guys who were out there, Pat Spencer in particular, played pretty good defense, all that stuff. He was out there. But like the reason he failed is that he wasn't a guy that can get his own shot, and there weren't players around him that were going to set him up to get his shot the way that he wants. It's just kind of jacking corner threes. For the guys that are chalk today, Aldama, Vince Williams, even Coward, if he gets owned like I think he should be owned, these guys are not going to just stand around and do that. And I think that's probably an important part of like just deciphering chalk, which frankly I need to do better for myself, as well as I'm sure you guys feel like. But Will Richard, I think there were like flaws in that process yesterday that I didn't think through enough. I was just like, let me cram this guy in because the last time the Warriors all sat, he did go for like 45 fantasy points. But, guys like Aldama, guys like Vince Williams, guys like Coward, they're not Will Richard. So I think if the chalk kind of burned you yesterday and you're thinking that way, I would probably be a little bit less inclined to fade an Aldama, Vince Williams, even if if Edey goes nuts here, those guys probably don't have an easy time getting to their, ceiling outcomes, like something weird like that happening. But for the most part, I think Aldama, Vince Williams, Cedric Coward, I don't think these guys kill you on the slate. That's my lean, though. Certainly make your own. Cam Spencer would play more minutes theoretically if he got hot off the bench. Really nothing in the underlying rates without Morant and without Jaren Jackson. That support wanted to go him like crazy. Jalen Wells, he's out there. Jock Landale is out there enough. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, 21-minute projection, but I suppose could theoretically earn minutes if things go well. Really, the top guys look good for Memphis to me besides Edey. I'm not dying to pivot down the line, I think, in this spot, but you certainly can. Love Coward, wish he played more minutes. I think he will now. What did he play last game with Ja out? Let's see. Coward played 26. Awful grouping here. Rotations like this, by the way, where it's pure, like hockey subs almost. They come out in groups. Never the most fun. Yeah, I'm a little bit confused why Coward only played 26 minutes last game. Coward might not get the minutes uptick that Aldama in particular will get, but Vince Williams as well. I still like Coward here, but that Memphis rotation can be something screwy that happens. I think if the bench, like the way that Memphis gets fucked up today, like, to put the best bow in it I can, if Memphis fucks up today, it's probably because the starters played like shit, got blown off the court or something by Sacramento. Bench came in, played hot, and then they just played the bench more. Would be my guess. But I still think the Memphis starters look like good chalk. Obviously, we know how that goes in any DFS slate. Atlanta, 116 implied points here. Jalen Johnson Fields at 26. I'm at 20. I'm cool with that number. If Porzingis is out, it's going to get a lot higher. Porzingis in, getting 11% for the field. I'm getting 13. Really, these guys, to me, not the most fun play at this point, unless you get Porzingis out. If you get Porzingis and Reza Shea out, I think Mo Gay is in play then. Again, Okongwu more in play, even though he won't project incredibly well at 7,600. But Jalen Johnson will become like a half my lineups kind of play, to be my guess. So Atlanta, we need to know Porzingis and Reza Shea. This game tips off at 8 p.m. and your only 7 o'clock games, Clippers, Orlando. So you should have swappability. But pay attention, especially with the NFL slate starting at the same time. Pay attention for Atlanta's starting lineup because you need to know that. And in particular, Porzingis and Reza Shea, if they're going or not. San Antonio, De'Aaron Fox, as we mentioned, massive bust as chalk last time. I'm not there today. Certainly, though, playing a player whose price tag is up after he failed miserably, he certainly can spike enough ceiling to pay off that price tag. And I don't think anybody's going to really be on Fox today. Even the 12% ownership might be a bit much. Devin Vassell, though, looks better to me. Not a great projection, but still better than Stokastics for me at 32. They're at 30.5. That said, Vassell only a 4.8x value to me, so not a must-have. Keldon Johnson at 5,400 looks better. That said, he'll be playing off the bench, so certainly some risk to that. Harrison Barnes, never a fun click, but I think at his price tag and Keldon Johnson's, the issue that you have is that Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Barnes all kind of, to me, have similar median outcomes. Vassell priced not in the same way as Keldon Johnson and Barnes are. So getting those guys more, it's logical, even though, I'd rather play Vassell for the upside. I think Keldon Johnson and Barnes will get more in my lineups. Jeremy Sohan, not enough minutes at 4,300, but I suppose he can hit, does contribute in every category. Kelly Olynyk, better value play at 4K to me. But I feel like we had the Olynyk game last time out as a value option where he actually worked. Today, I don't know if you need him as much, but he's in a quarter of my lineups in the fields at 20. And Philadelphia here, last game on the slate. We got no Joel Embiid, so it's going to move things around. Drummond will look playable enough at 6,400. Tyrese Maxey will look a little bit better, but Paul George really forced the ball in a way that I wouldn't have expected, given the fact that, Philadelphia as a team has a pretty good identity without him, but he put up 26% usage. He also snatched a ton of rebounds. An 18% rebound rate for Paul George is not going to sustain, but it sort of speaks to the mindset Paul George had here. He also had a 19% assist rate. He basically gobbled up every possession. He shot terribly, 37% true shooting. That'll get better. But because of the way that Paul George played in a short amount of minutes, he put up 1.2 fantasy points a minute in that debut. So I think Paul George, having him beat out, makes the math a little bit better. But Paul George is like a drag for Edgecombe, a drag for Grimes, a drag for Maxey. I think that's really the main thing here because he's doing everything. He's trying to take the ball at every possession. Is sort of the way that I would try to read into Paul George's stats and what I saw too from him playing. Don't think he could play well enough in 21 minutes, even if he got to like 25 minutes. I don't think he could play well enough to make a winning lineup. I guess potentially on a 4-game slate, maybe. But I think the bigger thing is that if he plays well and he gets more minutes, he is probably going to start to hurt the other Sixers more meaningfully. Shout out R. Stanley here. Got off work earlier to say hi to my buddy Spags. Hi, R. Stanley. Appreciate you being here. Glad you guys are watching live or after the fact as well. And again, show some love if you can't hit that like button, subscribe. But glad to have you guys here as always. And I am here 2 p.m. every day, East Coast time, doing the NBA work as best we can. And last team here, Milwaukee, 111 implied points. Not a great total for Milwaukee with 111, but you're taking Giannis off. Not a surprise. Overall, Philadelphia's defense giving up 115.5 points per 100. Basically in line with Milwaukee's been on the year, but that is a little bit worse than league average, basically. So not a bad defensive matchup, but not a great one. Rollins is the one I will die on the hill of here. You can see I've got 81% exposure like we talked about, field of 28. I think the underlying rates support it, especially for this year. That said, if you want to just get more Rollins, but not as much as I'm getting, give him a 40-point projection. You'll get him like 33% of your lineups, 40% of your lineups. That's enough. For me, Ryan Rollins will be a slate breaking or failing stand today. So choose accordingly, but I'm just telling you how it is for my data. Kyle Kuzma, not coming up for me here. He is starting. He should gain more usage, but really doesn't come up enough to me with Giannis out this year or going back to last year. So Kuzma, not in play for me, but if you feel like, and you certainly could feel this way, like I kind of feel this way. If you feel like I have Ryan Rollins over projected, give a little bit of that to Kyle Kuzma, give a little bit of that to Miles Turner, because basically those guys shooting more would keep Rollins more in check, in line with where Stokastic's projection is. Bobby Portis, the situation is not the same as it used to be where you just play him when Giannis is out. In fact, he's not really getting a ton more usage up with Giannis out either. I did juke Portis' usage a little bit, but if he's playing off the bench, basically playing the minutes that Miles Turner or Jericho Sims don't play. Sims started the second half last game when Giannis got hurt. Portis' upside is not that big unless he starts. If he starts, then you play Portis and treat him like the old days. If he comes off the bench, I don't think you want to play Portis that much. AJ Green will be out there, but he plays worse without Giannis, one of his primary assist partners. Gary Trent played a shitload in the second half last game for Milwaukee. Real fast, show you the popcorn machine on this because it is relevant. Show the super chat, remember for a gestation period. Yeah, 9 months, which is when we launched our memberships here on the channel. So shout out to Robert Griffin III, one of my best online friends and one of the guys you should all aspire to be, in as much as he pays me for this channel and the NFL channel. But a good guy. Glad to see him be here for 9 months. Shout out to all you guys that have been on board since day one. It's not a lot of you on this channel, but there are a few of you, and all the new members as well. I've tried to make it as idiot-proof as possible. If you want the data I show you here on screen, get it for yourself. Check the YouTube community tab, or figure out how to get on the Discord. It's pretty easy to do, but some people have a hard time with that. Lots of ways to get my data if you want here. As simple as possible. Anyway, Milwaukee last game, Giannis got hurt here. Hurt his groin. He's going to be out a week or two. Jericho Sims started, played a 6-minute stint, played another 2 minutes here, so he got 8. Got 3.5 there, basically played about 11.5 minutes, would be on pace to play 23 if that were a full game. But you could see when Sims came out here, Portis came in. When Sims came in here, Miles Turner went out. So basically you have Sims, Turner, Portis playing for 2 out of 3 spots. Portis did end up closing that game. They went Gary Trent, went a little bit smaller. So there's not a guarantee either that 2 out of those 3 close. That's the issue with Bobby Portis. That's the issue with Jericho Sims as well. Miles Turner's probably going to close no matter what, barring something getting really weird. Sorry, I didn't show you guys. Wrong screen. That said, for how Milwaukee looks here, I think the biggest winner is Ryan Rollins for that reason as well. Just the minutes are not really super stable for a guy like Portis anymore. They're not really stable for Sims. They're stable for Kuzma, stable for Miles Turner, and stable for Ryan Rollins, who has been the best producer by a decent margin when Giannis is off the court. Let's go to Stokastic, though. We've now seen everything I have for you. So we'll run a sim. This is not going to be updated for all the guys out, so your mileage will vary, but we'll still run it anyway. But of course, we have had Embiid ruled out. We have had, who else got ruled out? Sabonis ruled out here. So things are going to change on Stokastic. Check out the updates, 15% off with the promo code SPLASH at Stokastic. Link in the description as well if you want to get over there and check out their menu of options with a mere click. So please do that. But half the money you pay to Stokastic comes back to me. It's a big way I'm able to support doing this stuff across the NBA and NFL. So please do go sign up over there. Check them out. I'd love for you guys to pay for my projections, but really you want to be in the best hands possible. Stokastic will be doing that for you as well. And I do not have a Sims tool, and they do. But let's sim this, see what we get. Obviously, having no Embiid, no Sabonis in particular, it's going to move the ownership around a little bit and the ROI around a little bit. We'll figure it out. All right, your top ROI lineups right now. So again, before all these updates, but I don't think we're getting injured guys in these top lineups, so that's a positive thing here. We got Bogdan Bogdanovic in this top ROI lineup. Cam Spencer, one of the backup Grizzlies. The brother of Pat Spencer, by the way, who just went off yesterday. Another white guy, though I don't know if he was a top lacrosse player. We got Vince Williams here, John Collins, Ivica Zubac, Ryan Rollins. Ryan Rollins makes it. Hey, Jalen Johnson, Zach Edey, So good amount of Grizzlies, good amount of Clippers. That's that. Number 2, Bogdan Bogdanovic. Cole Anthony makes this one. So no Rollins. You get Cole Anthony. I think that makes sense. If Ryan Rollins were going to be mega chalk, I would boost my Cole Anthony exposures because that's one of the ways that Rollins would not hit his minutes load, as if Cole Anthony got hot and stole a few minutes away. He rarely does, but it can happen. Cole Anthony, Vince Williams, John Collins again, Ivica Zubac again, Dyson Daniels makes this one, Jalen Johnson makes this one, and Zach Edey makes this one. And a number 3, Jalen Suggs, Cam Spencer, Vince Williams, John Collins, Zach Edey, James Harden, Jeremy Sohan, Domantas Sabonis. So, well, that one won't count now. Number 4, Ryan Rollins, Cole Anthony, Vince Williams, John Collins, Wendell Carter, Quentin Grimes, Jalen Johnson, and Zach Edey. One of the biggest differences in my day-to-day to Stokastic is, like, I can't get there with Zach Edey. Just going back to last year, he really didn't play much better with Morant and Jaren Jackson off. I boosted his usage a little bit, boosted his rebound rate a little bit. I am not there. I don't think he gets above 28 minutes today. Definitely not above 30. They love Edey, though. Number 5 lineup here, Jalen Suggs, Malik Monk, Vince Williams, John Collins, Ivica Zubac, De'Aaron Fox, Santi Aldama, Zach Edey. I mean, this lineup, too, the only one that really won't be in play anymore is the Sabonis one. But this one, Monk's going to look a little bit better. I mean, it's basically that. Hit the Euro step last night. I presume that's a tournament, not that she made like a really sick Euro step. Thanks for all the info, Spags. Glad to hear it, Alex. Congrats on that win, sounds like. Always fun to get paid off by exciting whites, and the Stokastic Sims do wonders for your autism. I'm glad that we're appealing to all communities here of the spectrum. John Collins, we got 2% ROI here. Your top ROI player. Of course, this is going to move a bunch. That's that. Oh, you hit them both. You hit a sick Euro step. You win the tournament. And then you do a little Euro step yourself on a Nerf hoop to celebrate. That's the way that goes. Porzingis at number 2. Collins number 1. Porzingis number 2 in ROI. Ignore the negative numbers here. It's about the directional accuracy of the ROI to keep in mind in a sim. Ivica Zubac at number 3. Cam Spencer at number 4. Cam Spencer coming off the bench. Not as good of a producer as Pat Spencer. But he is somebody producing 0.9 fantasy points a minute. Decent assist rate. Decent rebound rate. The rebound rate's not great, 5.5. But decent usage rate, decent assist rate for Cam Spencer on the air. Doesn't seem like they want to mix him in as much as Golden State does Pat Spencer, for what it's worth, but neither here nor there. Bogdan Bogdanovic at number 5. Your number 5 ROI guy. Wendell Carter a little bit behind. Jalen Johnson a little bit behind. Exposures right now, and frankly, I doubt this is going to change that much, even with some of the theoretical value opening up. Vince Williams, 84% exposure in Stokastic's top 150, Fields 79. Vince Williams is your point guard for Memphis, basically. So and he contributes in every category. He's one of those guys that can't stuff a box score if the situation goes right for him and he's just on the court a lot. And it seems like it'll be the case for Vince Williams. Number 2, John Collins. Wow, there's a lot of John Collins. 53% exposure for John Collins. Fields at 13. So that'd be another case where Stokastic has given Collins a little more respect for the longer-term sample size, where he was very good on Utah. He's not currently good on the Clippers. I think that's because of the situation. Having a Zubac out there, having a Harden out there, just doesn't really jibe with John Collins' playing style as much. But Collins was great last year, so being with this ownership, I don't think it's crazy. Ivica Zubac, 53% exposure as well. Fields at 33, so you are getting pretty big leverage on Ivica Zubac here. Jalen Suggs, 51% exposure. Fields at 39. Suggs projects well. If Bane hits, though, it probably does hurt Suggs a little. Again, that is for Bane. And Santi Aldama. It's a fade in Aldama. Only 47% exposure for Aldama. Fields at 72. But he is still in about half the top 150 lineups, so that's still a lot of Aldama. Highest leverage plays, John Collins, 40% more than the field. Ivica Zubac, 20% more than the field. Two guys we already saw. Cam Spencer, you're getting 17% more than the field. They wanted to get twice the exposure to Cam Spencer, and he is a lead ball handler who can theoretically produce. Or, you know, again, the offense stalls out for that first unit. Maybe they bring in a Cam Spencer to make it run a little bit better. It's a possibility. Porzingis, 25% exposure. Fields at 11. If he plays, he definitely is theoretical leverage against. I keep saying leverage, but that's everything in DFS is leverage. Everything in life is leverage, but everything in DFS especially. Porzingis, though, think kind of pulls away from Jalen Johnson a little bit. He does assist better than you realize. Porzingis has like a 20% assist rate on the year. Actually, be a little bit higher. It's 21.1. He's had 22 without Trae Young on the court. It does hurt Jalen Johnson meaningfully if Porzingis plays. Jalen Johnson, you're getting 14% leverage. So Stokastic wants you to be up on both. You're getting 40% Jalen Johnson and 25% Porzingis today. And negative leverage, big fade in Aldama. Surprised to see that, but it's there. Kobe Sanders, who should be starting for the Clippers today, at least theoretically. He is getting played a lot by the, well, not a lot, 12% by the field, but they don't want you to play him at all. 1% exposure for Kobe Sanders. James Harden, you're getting 10% less than the field. He is still in a quarter of Stokastic's top lineups, but that is less than the field's 34. Harrison Barnes, you are fading meaningfully, only 1% exposure, fields at 10. And VJ Edgecombe, 4% exposure, fields at 13. Yeah, okay. This is all going to move a little bit, obviously. They're fading Keldon Johnson, too, who I like, but that's that. It's going to move a little bit because of Embiid and Sabonis being out. So, again, run the sims yourself later today. Get a read on it. I'm not going to do a single lineup sim today because at this point, the data's moved around enough. It's probably not worth it. But I will give you guys my splash plays. So before I do that, please do hit that like button, subscribe. Again, I'm here doing the work every day. Ultimately, that's all I can do. And really, I heard you guys use market data, use stochastic data, whatever you want here, but I'm just showing you my projections that I create, the things that I'm leaning in on today. Ryan Rollins, obviously in a major way, but also, just use that info however you want. Doesn't mean you have to play everybody I'm playing here. That's how I'm going to play a slate. That's what the channel is. Check out Stokastic too. I'm saying this again for the guy that I already banned from the channel, but like I am saying it, just like, please do whatever you want with the content. Just I don't need to hear it if you're like mad at me for something. I just don't care. 15% off with the promo code SPLASH though. Use that over at Stokastic. Again, you don't want to have an independent proprietor like me doing stuff. Use the site. It's winning people all the money over and over again. Data, sims, all the cheap stuff, all the expensive stuff. 15% off the promo code SPLASH. And join the Discord too. If you want access to all of my data, the Squirt Squad tiers will do that for you. The matchup sheet I show you, join the Squirt Squad tier. Exportable projections, you want those, join the VIP tier down below. If you just want to be in the Discord, asking questions, whatever, do that as well. It's $5 to join, and you get some cool perks for NFL as well. If you join the NBA channel, you get my data sheet, and that's that. So check it out on the Discord. $5, join the channel. Easy to do. All right, splash plays for the day. Ryan Rollins has to be one. Besides him, chalky Vince Williams, chalky Aldama. I'm not moving away from that. I will be adding on top a chalky for me, Cedric Coward. I think he looks like a strong play, and that's not going to change for me. Jalen Suggs, a splash play today. Bogdanovich, a splash play today. I think Keldon Johnson, a splash play. I don't feel as good about him as the others, so he's down the splash play list. Zubac, maybe not a splash play, but he'll be in a lot of my lineups. I think it's that. The really Bogdanovich, Vince Williams, Rollins, Suggs, Aldama, Wendell Carter. Those are probably the biggest ones. But that's it for today. Make sure, why aren't you making me money, YouTube Monkey? Yes, even, honestly, somebody can give you the best projections in the world, and none of them will ever be 100% accurate. But, like, really, I think it's something that if you're a newer DFS player, get it through your head and it'll help make your life a lot better. You still have to do stuff. Like, you still just can't play them straight away and do it. My data, like, I play mostly straight away because I know my projections are going to be used by a large portion of the field. I know what goes into them, but still you have to be accounting for ownership, have to be accounting for stuff. So let's keep that in mind. There's never an easy remedy, whether it's my data or something else out there. But if you do the work and you use tools correctly, you'll find better results, and that's how it goes. But I appreciate you guys being here. Make sure to gamble responsibly, guys, even though it is always money time on the Splash Play channels. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow this channel at Splash Play Bets on YouTube, at Splash Play Pod on Twitter. If you want NFL Showdown content, check out my show with Lofty this morning on Stokastic or on my Splash Play Pod video. Doing the same process here, very similar process, I guess, for NFL. So check that out on there. And I will see you guys again soon. So enjoy your days. Good luck. And, hey, have some success today, guys. That's all we can ever do. But I'll see you guys tomorrow. Good luck. Bye-bye.